In today's video, we're going to be discussing whether or not Materium was a good choice for Mirandus or whether it could potentially ruin the whole entire Mirandus economy. But before we get too far into the video, I would really appreciate it if you would like the video and subscribe for some more Mirandus content, because that would really help to boost the channel. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So let's start off with some objective facts, and then we can get into some opinions towards the end. Materium has a 10 billion fully diluted market cap, which means once all of the Materium that is in existence hits circulation, there will be 10 billion total Materium. Currently, there's about 6 to 7 million Materium in circulation, which makes the market cap around $3 to $4 million, I believe, at today's price, which is between 60 and 70 cents. I've seen Materium as high as $1, a little over $1, but I've also seen it as low as 40 cents. But it's been bouncing between 60 and 70 cents pretty consistently over the past week. How Materium distribution and circulation works is as we, the players, spend Materium inside of the game, the Materium is then transferred to a Gala wallet, and from that Gala wallet, it's used to redistribute back into the monsters across the land of Mirandus, because as we kill monsters, they drop Materium, and then the cycle starts over again. So that's part of the reason why there's such a big difference between the current circulation and the fully diluted. And I'm not too worried about the fully diluted being too much, because Gala needs to make sure that they keep the land stocked at all times. And as we learned from the last AMA, the land of Mirandus has the potential to be huge. So with that being said, they need to make sure that they can keep everything stocked and not have a shortage. So now that we've covered price a little bit, let's talk about what drives the price of Materium and why it's actually wanted in game. Materium will be the premium currency inside of Mirandus. There will be a couple other currencies as well, but Materium will be the one that's most sought after. The reason being is because Materium is also magic, and magic in any MMO can be a really big deal. Magic is used to cast spells, to replace rare ingredients, maybe speed up crafting times, or I've even heard teleporting goods. So now let's talk about my opinion a little bit. Do I think that Materium was the right choice for Mirandus? To answer that, let's actually look over at Townstar for a second. So Townstar is down like 90 or 95% from all-time highs. You could argue, yeah, it's the retrace, yeah, it's the bear market, whatever, but a lot of it has to do with there's not enough utility for town coin. So you can earn all this town coin, but there's not really a reason to hold the town coin anymore. A similar issue happened with Axie. Axie was structured in a way that you needed new players coming in to buy the Axies that were being bred. And without new players to buy the Axies that were being bred, then there was no point in having these new Axies. So then the market became oversaturated. And a really similar thing happened to a game that I personally really enjoyed playing. It was called Heroes and Empires. Heroes and Empires is a fun game, but instead a really similar issue happened, and a bunch of new heroes were made, and not enough people were buying them. So it seems to have a successful coin that'll last longer than 6 months to a year. It really needs high in-game utility. So far, out of all the games that I've heard of, Materium has the highest in-game utility out there for any game. And that's because Materium can be used in just about every single profession. It can be used by explorers to go further in dungeons, or to cast stronger spells, or to revive after inevitably dying to that boss a million times. Or it can be used by a blacksmith who's trying to craft this super rare piece of armor that they have the recipe for, but are missing a certain gemstone that only can be achieved at certain times of the year. But the cool thing about that is that's not going to be super overpowered, because you have to have the recipe for it. I think a lot of people are scared that Materium is going to be used as this pay-to-win substance that can be, you know, here's some Materium, now give me everything in the game. And that'll be true to a certain extent, but at the same time, you need recipes for things. And to complete the recipes, a lot of times you're also going to need certain levels in masteries. So if your skill or your mastery isn't high enough in a certain category, even though you have the recipe, you aren't going to be able to craft that item or that food or that, you know, sword, whatever it is. So that's the main reason that I'm not super worried that Materium's going to be really overpowered and one-sided. Plus, a lot of times when someone uses Materium, multiple people benefit from it. So if me as an adventurer spends a bunch of Materium to cast a really powerful spell to kill a boss, and I bring some of that boss loot back into town to sell it to a merchant, that merchant's going to benefit as well, because he's going to be selling it to an adventurer, a different adventurer, who wants that. So everyone inside that equation benefits from it. So Materium truly is a utility packed coin. One other use case scenario that I was thinking about, especially for people who are going to rent out exemplars, would be to revive the exemplars. And yeah, I've already talked about that, but imagine this scenario for a second. You have this exemplar that is super high level. It stays that level when you rent it to somebody. Imagine that renter killing your exemplar and losing half of your masteries and experience. Well, what the heck? What are you gonna do? Then you can use Materium to revive your exemplar to that level. Maybe that doesn't fit in this video, but that's something that would be kind of fun to think about and discuss. On the same note, people are gonna be using Materium to, say, buy armor, swords, weapons, or cast spells to power up exemplars, to then sell that powered up exemplar on OpenSea or on Gala chain or wherever it's actually going to be sold. So that's just another use case scenario. I also really like the idea that anytime you're out killing something, you're also earning Materium. So an adventurer is no longer going to be just grinding for experience points or mastery levels, but he's also going to be earning Materium at the same time. That's so much different than any other MMO, where you go and sink 3 hours in and feel like you barely accomplished anything. Now at least you can come home and say, hey, I made 10 bucks. These are some of the reasons that I think Materium was a really strategic choice by McCarthy to put inside the game as the currency. If you disagree, comment down below, because I'd love to hear your all's opinions. Regardless, thank y'all for watching so much. I appreciate your time, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace, guys.